This week on Arizona Illustrated, an historic ranch is coming back to life.
The ranch is part of our history in Pima County.
Returning from war to the battle at home.
I couldn't believe what I had become.
And the Music Man creating some of Tucson's most influential sounds.
I'm hearing old sounds, but new things are being sung about.
Plus, weather radar and flash flooding from the vault. Welcome to Arizona Illustrated. I'm Tom McNamara. As many of you already know, Arizona is home to some of the most beautiful local, state, and national parks in the country. Just 40 miles south of Tucson is one historic destination where workers are restoring the past for future generations to enjoy.
The ranch itself is full of interesting buildings, lots and lots of interesting history. This was the entrepreneurial center of southern Arizona. The Santa Cruz Valley is what actually made southern Arizona. It was the area where they were doing all kinds of ranching and mining and timber and all of those things that go along with it. And it's why people moved to southern Arizona. The folks that developed this, Levi Manning was the mayor of Tucson for a while. He developed the Tucson Water Company. They did many things to actually help benefit Tucson. There were stage stops down here. The Tarbox Hotel was down here. This part of the world, it's why we're here. One of the most interesting things about the site is that all of the buildings are actually made out of adobe. This is natural adobe. It's uncured adobe. There's no cement mixed. It's not baked. It's just mud and water and cactus juice. That's really all it is. Adobe is a very interesting building material. Actually, there are more homes built out of dirt in the world than anything else, and adobe is one of those dirts that we use to build homes. The interesting thing about it is that it has a very short maintenance cycle. So every 12 to 18 months, there's some part of this property that we're actually redoing the adobe on.
My dad originally came here in the 1940s during the war. Then later on in 1952, he brought the family over from Mexico. He worked on the ranch himself for 25 years. I was on the ranch during my childhood up to 1965.
That's where I got started in life, and wherever you start in life, you always remember very fondly, and you always remember it with rose-colored glasses. It was a beautiful experience. We lived in where the families lived, and the single men lived in the bunkhouse. A lot of activity, and it was communal. I mean, everybody knew each other. We're still good friends with the Castillo family, still good friends with Joaquin Murrieta, whose dad worked there as well, and other families that were there.
This is an important part of their history in the Santa Cruz Valley. They made major contributions to the success of this ranch. Without them, obviously, a lot of what took place here would not have happened. So we like to celebrate the Hispanic and Mexican families that actually lived and worked here and made this ranch what it is.
I used to help my dad work on these retaque corrals back in the 50s and 60s. I helped. He did all the work, but it gave me a sense of what labor is all about and responsibility is. I think this one we're just gonna have to. And so I decided to come back and call it a labor of love.
Interesting times. Now these walls are all adobe. They're 18 inches thick. Does everybody know what adobe is?
We saw it online, Canoa Ranch, historic ranch, and didn't know anything about it. So we signed up, came down, and it's an excellent tour, really, very informative tour.
And we were really surprised how big it was, and you know, the cattle, the 80,000, and kind of some of the kitchen area, and I'm a kitchen person, so I like look at that. Oh, they're gonna make dinner for how many people here?
It's a historic ranch, iconic. It used to be huge. It's down to about 5,000 acres that when I was on the county we were able to save. I bought it from the developer. He was going to put homes on there. And then the effort has been ongoing to restore the buildings and to have a glimpse of what a working ranch in southern Arizona used to be like.
It's a voyage of discovery. We're always finding something new, and fortunately we have some great staff people here with Pima County.
So if you have questions, just shout them out.
If you're interested in the history of the Santa Cruz Valley and of southern Arizona, this is a great place to come see what actually happened.
As the battle continues for many U.S. soldiers who are now deployed, some are coming home. For more than a decade, thousands of veterans have returned from war in Iraq and Afghanistan. Many found the transition back to life at home challenging. Tucson native Ricardo Pereda served in Iraq for one tense, traumatic year. When he came home, a new battle began.
I couldn't take it. At 23, you know, I got people telling me, you're young, you got your whole life in front of you and stuff like that, but I feel like I'm 80 years old inside. I feel dead already. You know, why not just seal the deal and end this hurt, this pain that I'm feeling, this pain that I'm causing everybody else, my loved ones and everybody. Why not just end it? When I got my gun, you know, I had everything laid out, and I sat there.
4 years before, Ricardo Pereda had joined the U.S. Army Military Police Corps in hopes of following in his grandfather's footsteps.
My dad was in the service, and he and my dad were the best of friends, and he wanted to do what Dad did.
When September 11th happened, I signed up originally to go to Afghanistan. That's where the people were that attacked us. You know, that's where everybody was saying that that's where they are. So I signed up and, yeah, let's go to Afghanistan.
Pereda found himself deployed to Iraq instead in 2004.
Combat wasn't hard. That's survival right there. The hard part is wondering when it's going to be you. You know, when is it going to be you that gets hit by the V-bid or the IED or the sniper? That's the hard part, you know, not knowing.
One night, Pereda's squad fired on a suspicious truck. Pereda performed first aid on the driver, a confirmed insurgent who had been shot more than 18 times, and wound up saving his life. While Pereda's squad was away, another squad took their mission. They were hit with an explosive that caused devastating injuries, and a friend of Pereda's was among the injured.
Here I am, saving this, person, And, you know, my buddy who takes our mission ends up getting hit. You know, and when we came back and I found that out, you know, I went in his hooch and I cried.
After a year in Iraq, Ricardo Pareda came home.
Most often, what I see when veterans come home is usually about the first year is pretty much okay. They're real happy to be home. And usually at about a year to 18 months, what I would term the wheels start to fall off.
I was angry. I'd go on rages, you know, I'd go out to the bars and look for fights. You know, on the streets, look for fights. You look at me wrong, like, let's go. You know, I wanted something to get that adrenaline back and get that feeling back.
He was agitated, nervous, paranoid. We went to the grocery store and he saw a yard sale sign and flung over into the other lane and took a different route because he thought it was a IED.
When I was going through that, you know, about a year and a half after I got back, my wife had enough, I guess. And when she left, it was like the bottom of the bucket just dropped out.
In the process of applying for disability benefits, Pareda came across letters from his family members detailing the changes they'd seen in him.
It was so devastating. You know, I couldn't believe, you know, what I had become, you know, and how I was treating them. And I was like, is this it? You know, is this how I'm going to live the rest of my life?
That day, Pareda wrote a letter of apology to his loved ones and held a gun to his head.
Hand shaking, finger on and off the trigger. And I just got this thought, like, looking at the letters, like, you know, I'm thinking, I'm here, I'm like thinking about blowing my damn head off, apologizing for bringing all this grief and sorrow to my family, but yet I'm gonna be putting more on them by taking my life. I couldn't do it. You know, thank God.
The analogy I often use is when they were civilians, if somebody was shooting at them, if somebody were to shoot at us, our natural tendency is going to be to run away, right? Get away from harm. In the military, you're taught if somebody's shooting at you, you actually run towards the fire because that's how you break an ambush. Treatment is much like that. You have to go towards the pain to get through it.
I went through a very difficult period, to be sure, of about 4 years where I was just lost. It wasn't for the people who loved me, who were telling me, you know, you need to seek help. You need to get out there and go to these you know, therapy programs and stuff like that. You need to talk to somebody. I wouldn't be here.
In 2010, Pareda decided to enroll in the University of Arizona. It was there that he found the UA Veterans Education and Transition Services Center, or VET Center.
They plucked him out of line. He was waiting in line to register, and they said, oh, we'll fast track this for you, come on. And so they took him to the vet center, and they got his schedule all set, and it was a very warm and welcoming place. So he got completely involved in the vet center, and that is what saved his life.
I wrapped myself up in it. I found a release. Yeah, I found something that I could give back to that was also giving back to me.
Pareda eventually helped lead the expansion of the vet center. He has since scaled back his work with the center, but he remains an outspoken advocate for veterans' issues.
We as a country, also the military, We give them the illusion you're going to go off and, you know, be exposed to all this stuff, and you're going to come home and be the same again, rather than you're going to be changed. What you do with that change determines whether it's, quote, good or bad. They joined to be of service to the country, and so if they have that, a place to be of service, then they do really well.
I look back at where I've come from, you know, and where I'm at now, and the role that I've been able to play in other people's lives, you know, and what I've been able to see as far as helping other people come out of that hellhole. You know, it's been a roller coaster, you know, but I want to change it for the world.
Like what you see on Arizona Illustrated? Visit our webpage at azpm.org to watch and share videos from this episode. You'll also find stories from future programs, an easy way to submit your own story idea, an archive of past episodes of Arizona Illustrated. And you'll find everything you need to stay connected with public broadcasting in Southern Arizona. azpm.org. Sound engineer Matt Rendon has been influenced by recording heavyweights like the Beatles and the Beach Boys. But now he's creating his own brand of lo-fi sounds, producing some of Tucson's most interesting music. We stopped by his Midtown studio to watch and listen.
'60s music was the perfect match of the kind of music that was being created and the recording technology. They had come as far as they could with microphones and limiters and compressors to record live music, and I think that's why it sounds so vital when you hear it today. We're in Midtown Island Studio, 25th Street, Tucson, Arizona. This has been the setup for the last 4 or 5 years. There's an 8-track ADAT machine right here. Julia Neal and his band, which is Connor Gallagher, Grant Bashow, and Adon Martinez Key, that's the backing band. They're gonna come in and they're gonna record some live backing tracks. The drum kit has got 3 or 4 mics on it. Connor and Julian are playing through these Princetons right here. We want this kind of like sound shooting off around the room and back into their microphones. The idea is you get bleed. So everybody's microphone is picking up everybody else's. So it becomes like sort of larger than life. That's kind of like the main thing I'm chasing here, you know? It's just to have that feel of a live, raw performance. Quite frankly, it's pretty costly because a band has to be really, really prepared in order to record it that way. But here, it's relaxed, and you know we have a clock on the wall that's never correct. I am hungover. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. Nice. I was driving a truck for a thrift shop. Got to the point where my body wasn't rebounding anymore. You know, Monday would come around and I wasn't any better than Friday night. I got dismissed from that job, kind of like at an age where nobody's gonna really hire me. I don't have a lot of skills. I just looked out here and I was like, well, why don't I just try to do this for a while and see what happens? And it's gotten to the point now where I can't even remember who was in last week.
I came out here from Austin about a month ago to record on a friend's record who happened to be recording here.
We'll just go song by song, chronological order, just like work out the harmonies.
He just has a way of making you feel relaxed.
I have this mic pack in my back pocket. It's like the world's biggest wallet.
Sorry.
So, I'm used to it because of all the money I carry around, you know. Okay, all right, here we go. It was a song that Julian wanted to play acoustic on, but because of the size of the room, we weren't able to get a great sound out of it. So we had him overdub it with the rest of the track. And that's what happened. And now we're going to do it again. No, it was a band first. These are all the Resonars records that have come out over the years. We made some good records and stuff. We played a lot of shows, but we never caught on here. It was just a weird time for a guitar pop band to be running around Tucson, you know. And we played a lot of shows at pizza parlors, you know, in front of 3 people. And finally, we just decided to stop doing it. And I felt I don't want to do this all over again, trying to find these people. I'm just going to make records by myself. Because that was about the time when Guided by Voices came around. And the realization that you could just use a 4-track recorder at home and have somebody put it out. That sort of went hand in hand with learning how to engineer and the very, very, very slow process of learning how to engineer.
Annie seems to have found something. The only thing he ever does is go,
oh no, can we do it again?
yeah, okay. And then he comes up with a different idea. He never says no. Well, let's find out.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Give me a little reason to add, oh, give me a little reason to add. Give me a little reason. I came in with a song, then we made an album quite quickly. He's a recording genius. He's got a historical knowledge of the engineering process, just a nice person, but a very hardworking dude.
Nonetheless Blue and Lunar Kit came out both on Get Hip Records. I never knew it had a following until 2012. All through the 2000s, I was doing other things and recording in a room and just not knowing how that music was affecting anybody. I had made the last record of a 3-record deal with another label, and I was considering just like going to school and doing something else completely. Because I just felt like, well, whatever it is I'm doing, it was just the smallest of trends, and now that thing is over, you know?
Burger Records, in association with Lollipop Records, proudly presents the most sensational collection of the year, the complete Resonars.
It was the guys playing these records for people in California that sort of got the new audience, but then this was the first record that came out to that audience. This record and Power Drowning by Audacity were the first LPs that came out on Burger.
Recordings from their self-titled debut, Bright and Dark.
To find out that those records had been listened to and appreciated the whole time and I just wasn't aware, that was a great feeling. Basically saved me from not doing music. When I was a little kid, I thought I was going to play running back for the Green Bay Packers, you know, but that didn't quite work out for me. Having a studio and not having any other job, everything is month to month, but at least we're making a bunch of good records over here. I think that since the studio started, the amount of records put out by Tucson bands has increased a lot. Running out of things to say, Andrew. It's nearly impossible for me to talk about this kind of stuff, but yeah.
If you've lived here long enough, you've seen heavy rains and flash flooding. In 1994, a proposed new generation radar would allow the National Weather Service to see inside storms and warn the public. But some were concerned about health and environmental impacts from the vault.
Southern Arizona has its share of severe, life-threatening weather. Flooding and flash floods are a major concern. The new generation radar proposed for southern Arizona would help the National Weather Service see inside storms.
Just a few months after the one at Phoenix was installed last year, they were able to call us up and say, we have a severe flash flood situation generating in Sabino Canyon. It was no longer a flash flood warning for eastern Pima County. It was a flash flood warning for Sabino Canyon.
While weather officials in Tucson have been able to get information from the advanced Doppler radar tower in Phoenix, they want to erect their own tower to be located in the Empire Mountains about 20 miles southeast of Tucson. They admit there will be some overlap with the radar in Phoenix.
That radar cannot look in here and look at the Tucson airport, for example. It cannot see Nogales. It cannot provide the kinds of information that our radar here can in fact provide.
Dr. Richard Michaud, a professor of genetics at the U of A, has lived in the Empire Mountains for the past 13 years. He's concerned about the potential health risk posed by the radar tower.
There are still possible genetic effects that can occur with even low levels of microwave radiation.
Right at the surface of the radar will be less than a third of the threshold for safety. And at the ground, anywhere nearby, because we're on a tower and the beam points up, at the ground anywhere nearby will be over 1,000 times below it.
I think with regard to human health, when we don't know, we should always be conservative.
Weather officials say the 98-foot radar tower won't be visible from any of the homes nearby, although they admit you will be able to see it on Highway 83 as you pass the Empire Mountains.
Certainly it'll be there, and some of us are going to notice it. But if we think of, when we do notice it, if we think about the fact that it's out there to save lives and property, it's not so hard to look at.
We certainly want the Weather Service to have the tools they need to protect us. Our only complaint is that not to put it in an area where people are living and enjoying life. Put it in an area where there's already, like up in Phoenix, they put it at the airport. They don't have to bother private citizens with this kind of thing.
Thank you for joining us here on Arizona Illustrated. Next week,
it's a place where nature, art, and culture connect.
the act of generosity behind Tohono Chul,
Okay. All lights blinking.
the ups and downs of the boxer bots,
I'll probably still be skating at 80.
a Tucsonan who is addicted to air, and Oliver North in Tucson from the vault. I'm Tom McNamara. See you next week.